Hi everybody, I'm Jim Shore. Welcome to my new studio. Today we're going to do our fall online signing event. Normally we do that for the benefit of most of our customers here in the States, our collectors and so forth. But this time we're doing it for the benefit of you all in the UK and in Europe at large. I want to introduce somebody that's a very special person here at the studio. This is Robin Wallace.
Hi everybody.
She is, among other things, one of my best friends and my daughter. Robin's worked with me for just about the whole time that we've been licensing, and she plays a very important role here in that she keeps me on schedule. She keeps me deadlines. Telling me what the deadlines are, what the sequence of events are, where to go, where to stand, when to start talking, and fortunately she.
I get to talk on camera.
Yeah, there you go. You see the face behind the camera usually, but she fortunately she shares her mother's brains and good looks, so she'll be telling you a little bit about the event and some of the special items that we've got in store for you. Just a little bit. I personally just got back from Europe. I did a signing tour in the UK, in Germany, in the Netherlands, and in Belgium. And I was absolutely so gratified at the enormous response we got in each one of those locations, and it validated what I knew all along, and that was that we share a popularity and enthusiasm of the style of artwork that I do, and I appreciate every one of you that showed up at those signings. However, there was a lot of you that didn't get the chance to. So that's kind of what we're doing with this signing event. We're giving all of you who didn't, and all of you who did, the opportunity to get a few special pieces and to see a little bit more about what we do and how we do it. So I'm going to let Robin take over and tell you a little bit about the event and what it's all about.
Okay, so today's offer is if you get either of these pieces, these Lion King pieces, the Mini Rafiki or the Love at Pride Rock, you have the option to add the other in your cart. Now, if you get them both, you get them for 60 pounds, and they're usually 66 pounds. But even better, if you get them both, Jim will sign this cute little guy for you. And I would go ahead and grab him up.
Who is this cute little guy?
This is Rafiki.
Okay, now we had a discussion about what he was.
He's not just a monkey, or he's a mandrill.
Yeah, a lot of people say,
we learned that today.
Nice baboon. Well, he's not a baboon. He's, as we discussed earlier, he's a mandrill. You can tell by all these fancy markings on his face.
Now, they are limited, so I would grab them up so you don't miss out. And then you can get these on the website, jimshoredesigns.co.uk. Did I get that right?
I hope so.
Okay, I'll let you
That's usually my question.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
I don't have the stuff in front of me this time.
All right. The Lion King is a project that I worked on really very early on, actually. And it's always been one of my favorites. When Robin was just a little girl, that's when it came out. And the whole family watched it together. And now we're watching it with Robin's girls.
Yes.
And so it's become sort of a family tradition. In fact, I took one of my daughters, Jennifer, up to New York, and we had a good time in New York. And one of the things we did, we went to the stage play on Broadway of The Lion King. And so it's something we've always loved, and I love the characters. It's for one thing, it's beautifully presented. The music,
Really
absolutely terrific, and the lesson sort of that it imparts, as so many of Disney's films and so forth do, was very unique and interesting, and I laughed and I cried, and it just evokes everything. So it's just a great it's a great film. And what I've done here, of course, I've done the characters as faithfully as I could, with which is what I usually do with these Disney or co-brand characters, and then I decorated them with what are typical Jim Shore sort of trademark designs. But this is the one. This is the guy that you'll get signed, like Robin said. So that's what we got. So now let's take just a minute and we'll kind of pan around here, and I'll show you.
Sure.
I'll show you all this the new studio. Now the reason we did this here is it's attached through a cabana to my house. So my bedroom's just right over there, and in the big house. I don't see much of it because I spend all my time working. But what you're seeing now is we've got a kitchen set up here, and once again, it's not fully furnished, it's not fully equipped, because we're sort of in the throes of doing that. And this is the addition to our big studio complex, which is some miles from here, but we haven't abandoned that. We'll still be doing sort of the heavy lifting part of it, at that location, and the workshop, the different things like that. But I also here on my property here have a very well equipped workshop which we will use to do some of the the prototyping and some of the mold making here, whatever we need to do. We're equipped to do that. What we'll be doing primarily in this building is the initial design work and the office work and all that kind of stuff that's so necessary to what we do. Here we've got a conference area for guests and so forth that come in, or other business folks, and we also have lunches here and that kind of thing. And then, as you can see, we've got a very nice view. We're on a recreational lake here in South Carolina, and today it just happens to be a sort of a drizzly, overcast day, and I know that you folks in the UK are not completely unfamiliar with those kind of days. So here you feel right at home. But it's an inspirational place to be here and to work under these conditions. Then over here, if we'll pan around, we've got sort of it's a place to relax. It's a place to, once again, we can have people in, and if we're having discussions in a more informal and relaxed way. So this is the downstairs. Now down below here we have in-suite rooms that are set up for out-of-town guests, and oftentimes people will come. They'll come from California, or the locations up in Chicago, or or even some of the folks from Europe will come over, and they'll have a nice place to stay right here in close proximity to the house, and they'll have their own privacy. So it works out pretty well. That's kind of the idea of the reason we set this thing up the way we did. Now we're going to go upstairs, and upstairs, this is the real office part. This is the part I really wanted to show you, because this is where I do so much of the design work, the hands-on design work. We do our color work up here. That's initial. We brainstorm things and that kind of stuff. And as you can see, as we come up, it's kind of close quarters. It's not huge. It's kind of intimate. There's the people that are involved here. They're not all here today, but in future shots you'll be able to get introduced to all of them at one point or another. But right now, see, this is Robin's area over here. This is kind of the heart of what we do, because she does all the correspondence, the planning, the keeping track of scheduling and everything, that in a very, very organized way, which is kind of counter to me because I'm sort of all over the place, but she keeps me in line, so it's a very important part of it. And over here we have Dominique, and she's part of the brains of the operation too, and she does a lot of the IT work. She works with the licenses that we contract with. She deals with social media. All right, now in addition to that, let's continue, and I'll show you the rest of this part of this room here. This is, as I said, a small and intimate space, which, as opposed to the studio, the big studio, which is a huge area, and there's a lot of activity out there that we won't have here. We'll do, a lot of this. We'll do the design work, color work, and that kind of stuff. I'll talk about that in a minute. But as you can see, it's not totally equipped yet, but for the most part it is. But we got a lot of artwork that we've generated. We've got banners, we've got awards, we've got different things that will be hanging on the walls here, and it'll give it a very warm look that will really have the Jim Shore signature on it. So over here we've got a couple of drawing tables. I do painting, I do drawings, I do things. This is a prototype example of one of the pieces that I created for our Army, and we've got examples of the upcoming. These are some prototypes that we put together of our upcoming project, Button and Squeaky. So you'll be seeing more and more of that. Over here, where we have my assistant Crystal, who isn't here today, but you'll meet her eventually. She does the color work. We start out simply with colored pencils, getting the idea of how we want to flesh this stuff out color-wise. So she takes care of all that, and then we have our staff of painters that help us through our creations and so forth. And we've worked together for so long. It's very effective for the kind of thing we do. Sometimes we'll take these designs and we will take it a step farther and make it into actually finished artwork that we can use for our calendar art or textile designs and that sort of stuff. So let's keep moving. Are we going to talk about the white woodland? You want to come and assist me with that, Robin? Okay. This is a line that was inspired initially by one of the early pieces I did. I did a St. Francis, and typically, my color work is, well, I'm sort of known as a colorist, and so the color work generally it goes all over the boards, and a very wide palette and very colorful. But sometimes, while that is okay on a collectible, if you use a piece as a decor piece, it sometimes clashes maybe, or it dominates an area, or one thing and another. And we've had people that have faced that predicament by redecorating their entire kitchen to match the figurines. Well, we don't want people to have to do that, so we've got these pieces here that are neutral in their color way, and generally a little bit more rustic, and they have the animal theme and the in some cases the woodland theme. This is as you can see on this piece here, it's got bark and this kind of stuff. You got the contrast of the fairly detailed areas here, and then the very woodsy look in there. So that's kind of the way we approach this. And
let's go with the new trend of less is more.
Yeah, less is more. Usually we think that more is more. But in this case, I saw the sense of making, as Robin said, less is more, and it's worked out very well, and it's become extremely popular. In fact, at the signing that I just got back from my European tour, this was one collection that while signing, saw these pieces come over and over and over. They're very popular in the UK, as you collectors, I'm sure, are aware, and it was popular in those other European countries too. So even in the countries that you think of as really liking a lot of color and liking that festive look, it's been the subtlety of the coloration of this has been very popular. Okay, so let's keep moving here, and I'll take you into a room that we've set up to do our taping, and we're doing it in sort of it's not totally professional the way we're doing it now, but we are in the plans of bringing in equipment for to make it into a real sound studio with a lot of bounce lighting and boom mics and better camera work and that kind of stuff. And we'll be changing the decorum from time to time so that it keep it fresh or keep it subject driven maybe. Here we've got a little display case of some of the pieces that come in that are prototypes. These are all prototypes. So any one of these pieces, since it is a prototype, might be subject to change. That's why, and you can see that it's a prototype because it does not have a tempo stamp on the bottom. That's the giveaway. And so we do this for approval, and it's subject to change. When it comes in, we'll look at it, you know, the painters maybe were off a little bit on the color, or with some detail that now that I see it colored, doesn't maybe fit exactly right, we'll change that. And so these pieces become one-of-a-kind pieces. So this is as far as collection is concerned, is a reasonably valuable collection. There's the white woodland that I was just showing you in the form of a nutcracker. But we've got the Disney pieces, we've got a lot of the co-brands shown, and the Victorian pieces that have become so popular, and you know, some of the exclusives that you might see from time to time. So, and this is a very, very small, you know, collection of representative of the entire line, of course, but we get them here in the studio not for real display, just for our own you know, our own reference and so forth as we develop new and more pieces. So over here, in addition to setting up props like this Christmas tree with you know, a whole bunch of my ornaments on there, so that we can have a backdrop for you know, displaying or when we're talking about you know, different groups, or we're doing presentations of things, we can have something that fits. Here we've got a collection of some of my oversized pieces, some of the pieces that I just love doing. I love the scale of that, so, and we keep a collection of those around. And then we've got the couch here that I'm usually sitting at when we're doing presentations in here, but one of my paintings, a few things, but like I said, this was subject to change from time to time, depending upon the season, depending upon the subject, and that sort of thing. So we've got pieces, as you can see, all over the place. But part of the reason for that is we want to inspect them to do changes on them, or we want reference for future pieces, you know, or we want just general inspiration. So that's what this does. We'll go back in here and we'll talk some more about one of the real reasons for this, and that's to be able to provide you all with a signed piece from me, and Robin will explain more about that when we come in here. So here we are back in the room that this is the sanctum sanctorum of this studio edition, and here's the leader right here.
Well, let me tell you about this one more time because you don't want to miss. If
Okay.
you add one of these, either one, to your cart, the Love at Pride Rock or the Mini Rafiki, you have the option to add the other. You'll have a little pop-up that'll ask if you want to. If you get both of them, they're only 60 pounds, and they're usually 66 pounds, so that's a good deal. But better if you get both, Jim will sign the Mini Rafiki for you. There are limited, so you want to go ahead and grab it so you don't miss out. And you can shop at jimshortdesigns.co.uk.
Yeah, and we're directing this sort of, I guess, mostly at the UK, but we're not. We don't want to leave out all of our friends in the rest of Europe. And of course, so much of that is the pricing is in euros, so you can make the comparison, but it's based on 60, the value of 60 pounds in the UK. All right, well, I think that about wraps it up. Thank you so much, Robin.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dominique. And thank you, Gerald, who is on the other side of the camera. And we'll talk to you real soon. Thank you so much for watching. And there's more to come, as always, with some other interesting things. As the studio progresses, I'll take you around and show you that. So bye for now.
Bye.